Function operations and compositions. So a composition of functions occurs when we take a series of functions, perform some sort of operation on those functions, and then we get either a new function out, or we can get a solution depending upon what we input. I'll show you what I mean. Let's consider this first example. Okay. So on the very top, we've got 4 functions, and we're going to make some compositions of those functions. I have f of x, g of x, h of x, and j of x. Okay. For f of x, I'll use blue. G of x, I'll use red. H of x, we'll use green. And for j of x, you can use purple. So for my first example, I've got g of x, which is x squared plus 4x minus 3, and I'm adding 2 times h of x. So I'm adding 2 times 4x squared minus 2x. From here I can simplify. Distribute the 2 through the parentheses, so I've still got x squared plus 4x minus 3. Now when I distribute, 2 times 4x squared would be 8x squared minus, and then 2 times 2x would be 4x. And I can combine like terms. So I start with my highest degree, my x squareds. There's 1 there and 8 there to give me a 9 x squareds. I've got a positive 4x and a negative 4x, so those guys are going to cancel. And my constant term at the end, minus 3. My next example, I've got f of x minus g of x. So f of x is negative 2x, and I'm subtracting g of x, so minus x squared plus 4x minus 3. Now I'm going to leave that in parentheses, and you'll see why. So first term was negative 2x. And I put this in parentheses now because there's a little hidden negative 1 in front of the parentheses that I have to distribute to all 3 terms in g of x. So I've got minus x squared, negative 1 times 4 would be negative 4x, and then negative 1 times negative 3 would be plus 3. So my answer here, negative x squared minus 6 x's, because I had negative 2 and negative 4 x's, plus 3. So again, I was using blue, red, green, and purple. So my next series of compositions, I've got j of x, so x minus 5 times h of x. For x squared minus 2x. Okay, if I remember back to polynomials, I've got 2 binomials being multiplied together. So I need to double distribute or FOIL here. X times 4x squared would be 4x cubed. X times negative 2x would be negative 2x squared. Going to the second term in the first set, negative 5 times 4x squared is negative 20x squared. And then negative 5 times negative 2x would be a positive 10x. And to combine our middle terms, I've got 4x cubed minus 22x squared plus 10x. So there's my new function after I compose j and h. Next one here, f of x is negative 2x, and I'm multiplying that times g of x, x squared plus 4x minus 3. So when I multiply into parentheses, I distribute, so I've got negative 2x cubed now minus 8x squared plus 6x. So there's my new function. Let's not forget I can still evaluate any function at any given value. In this case, I've got h of negative 2. So where I see an x in h, I'm going to substitute a negative 2 and simplify. So I've got 4 times negative 2 squared would just be 4. And then that second operation, negative 2 times negative 2 would be a positive 4. So we've got 16 plus 4, which gives me 20. So my input was negative 2, and my output is 20. Okay, now this next one. Next one looks kind of weird, okay? But all I'm doing, instead of inputting a value into my function j, I'm just putting another function into my function j. So wherever I see an x in j, I'm going to replace that x with the function rule for g. So I've got j of x, which is x minus 5. Well, instead of writing that x, I'm just going to write down what g is for x. Okay? So again, my function for j of x was x minus 5. But instead of x, I'm just going to write x squared plus 4x minus 3. And then to finish off j, I need to add that minus 5 in there. Okay? And to simplify, I've got x squared plus 4x minus 8. So that's my new function given that composition. So when I use f of x as my input into g of x, the first term becomes negative 2x, and g of x tells me to square it, plus 4 times x. However, x will now be negative 2x minus 3. So I've still got the general outline of g of x. I just put f of x into that function. And now to simplify, I use the product rule for exponents. So negative 2 squared is 4, and x squared. The next term becomes minus 8x when I multiply these two together, and minus 3. So there's our new function g of f of x. I'm going to leave this last one for you guys as an exercise.